Mayor, Judge Dugan is accused of misdirecting federal agents inside the courthouse. If she did, in fact, do these actions, are you okay with those actions?
Look, I think that what happened here was just showboating. They're just trying to have this show of force, and in the process of doing this in a courthouse where people need to go for court proceedings, they're scaring people away from participating in the process.
A few moments later.
For the first time, we're seeing Judge Hannah Dugan outside her courtroom April 18th wearing her black robes, appearing to confront several federal agents there to arrest Eduardo Flores-Ruiz, a Milwaukee man and Mexican national charged locally with 3 counts of domestic battery. This video, released by Milwaukee County through an open records request, is part of the evidence in the case against Judge Dugan.
So as you may recall, last month, Wisconsin Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested, and she has since been indicted for allegedly obstructing law enforcement from doing their duty, because she's accused of aiding Eduardo Flores-Ruiz, someone who's facing charges including battery and domestic abuse stemming from an argument with his roommates, who say he hit them more than 24 times in the head and choked them, and also attacked 2 women who tried to intervene. And the other thing he's charged with is returning to the US illegally after prosecutors say he was deported in 2013, and he was said to have been found in Milwaukee County on March 28, 2025, without having obtained proper authorization for re-entry, for which he has pleaded not guilty. And while these immigration officials showed up at her courthouse to try and arrest the guy, Hannah Dugan is accused of telling them they needed a warrant to conduct their operation and directed Ruiz and his lawyer to exit through a separate door to sidestep federal agents. Now, he was unsuccessful in trying to flee, as he was eventually taken into custody by federal agents. And as far as Hannah Dugan goes, she has filed a motion to dismiss the case, arguing that there's no legal basis for it, and that she should enjoy legal immunity for official acts she performs as a judge. Well, what she also has no legal basis for is interfering with the federal government's enforcement of immigration policies, as determined by the Supreme Court. And I only remember the code of conduct for judges saying that they must comply with the law, not ignore it. But the crazy left does not understand that, and both Dugan and Ruiz's arrest have sparked protests.
No peace! Judge Dugan will be free, no justice! No peace! Judge Dugan will be free, no justice! No peace! Judge Dugan will be free, no justice! No peace! Hands up! What do you mean? Hands up! Our press! Hands up! Our judges! Hands up! Our rights! Hands up! Our union! Hands up! Our university! Hands up! Our immigrants! Hands up! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like!
You guys awake right now, Wisconsin? We are deeply concerned not just by the arrest of Judge Dugan, but by the pattern we've seen across the state and around the country. When ICE shows up at courthouses, when people are taking while seeking legal help, when families fear going to a court to testify, to ask for protection, that's not justice. That's targeting. That's intimidation, and it has no place in our democracy.
You know what else has no place in our democracy? Illegal immigrants who the system failed to deport, allowed to come back into the United States, and then that immigrant savagely beats the crap out of people, which violence against citizens by the hands of illegals has happened more times than I'd like to count. But y'all don't seem to be upset over those victims, and this is why I cannot stand the woke left. They think certain people are above the law as long as they further the best interests, while accusing Republicans of not caring for the law. I mean, is the hypocrisy not astounding to you? Like, you're complaining about free speech being crushed while you literally have the right to protest here. Try going to communist China where they don't allow that. And the crazy thing is, in Wisconsin, you don't have the local politicians to be the voice of reasons. Rather, they fan the flames and sow more division, one of them being Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson.
This overly dramatic arrest of a judge at a county courthouse adds to a big problem created by the federal approach to immigration enforcement. What they've done is drive away people from participating in what are legitimate courthouse activities. Now, these folks, they may be victims, they may be witnesses, civil case participants, or people who receive traffic tickets. When these folks are driven away, that makes our community less safe. These folks should be encouraged to participate in court proceedings. They're not going to participate in court cases if they fear being swept up in immigration enforcement. That's exactly the groundwork that the Trump administration has laid here in what is quite evidently an attempt to showboat. And it's unfortunate. I think it makes our community less safe.
Mayor, Judge Dugan is accused of misdirecting federal agents inside the courthouse. If she did, in fact, do these actions, are you okay with those actions?
Look, I think that what happened here was just showboating. They're just trying to have this show of force, and in the process of doing this in a courthouse where people need to go for court proceedings, they're scaring people away from participating in the process. So if they are witness to a crime or something of the sort, they're not going to go and participate, and that makes our community less safe.
You know what actually makes the community less safe is allowing illegal immigrants who have a rap sheet to continue to be protected. This is what's going to drive people away from participating in the judicial process, knowing that those who are supposed to represent us have turned their back on the citizens. I mean, this guy has no idea what the hell he's actually talking about, and it's evident.
So the issue is with how the arrest happened, not necessarily that there was an investigation.
Again, I don't know all the things that happened there, but I'm saying that the way that they went about this, in this ham-handed, haphazard way that this administration has been doing, it's driving people away, or has potential to drive people away from participating in court proceedings.
Do you believe this man should be deported?
I'm sorry?
Do you believe this man should be deported?
I don't know any information about the man. I'm talking specifically about the Trump administration's actions as it relates to this case and what they've been.
Yeah, you didn't bother to do your research on this specific case. It's just orange man bad while you offer nothing actually substantial to the discussion. Because the fact is, fixing this immigration problem can be a nuanced discussion, and I do think that the Trump administration hasn't handled it all perfectly. Maybe some things have been done hastily, but you don't open the door for that conversation. You just spout off and deflect when asked about this particular case. And as for your complaining about people not wanting to participate in the judicial process, well, rest assured that will happen. And there will be due process because both the judge and Flores are due back in court. There's going to be trials and there will be determinations whether or not people are guilty. And there's a thing called evidence to be used by both parties. Well, speaking of evidence, new footage has been released of Judge Dugan and it's pretty damning.
A view of the 6th floor of the Milwaukee County Courthouse outside Judge Hannah Dugan's courtroom. It's April 18th. An undocumented Mexican national Eduardo Flores-Ruiz, seen here in black, arrives for a hearing on domestic battery charges. He walks past plainclothes federal agents there to arrest him and into Dugan's courtroom. According to court documents, Judge Dugan learned of the agents' presence and confronted them in the hallway. She's seen in the video directing them to the chief judge's office. Minutes after most of the agents leave, Flores-Ruiz walks out of Dugan's courtroom through this door, which federal prosecutors call a jury door, not open to the public. But one federal agent hangs back in the hallway. You can see him here in the tan. He motions to follow Flores-Ruiz and gets onto the elevator with him. Here's Flores-Ruiz leaving the courthouse with the agent not far behind. Once outside, Flores-Ruiz starts running. Agents chased him halfway around the building before arresting him on 10th Street. What you've just seen is what could be key evidence at the center of the case against Judge Dugan, now federally indicted, charged with concealing a person from discovery and obstruction.
Yeah, so this is clearly an activist judge who can't fulfill her duties while putting her political biases aside. I mean, who lets someone use a door that isn't open to the public? And I'm just going to say this off top. For anyone thinking that this was entrapment or whatever, the fact that he ran towards the end shows you exactly why they needed this to be done as covertly as they did. They needed backup plans for stuff like this, and they executed it perfectly. And as a respecter of the Constitution, I do believe he deserves a day in court. But I would think that alone is enough to tell you that he doesn't respect the law, if him beating up people senselessly didn't already tell you that. And I have serious doubts as to if Hannah Dugan herself cares about the law, because when you look at the charges against her, they specify that she tried to impede the administration of the law by number 1, addressing EFR's Eduardo Flores-Ruiz criminal case off the record, and number 2, allowing Ruiz to appear by Zoom for his next court date. Why? So that he could avoid ICE. It's almost as if he knew he was on some sort of watch list and asked her to keep the case private, but Kash Patel ain't having any of that crap. And neither am I. And I hope that the book is thrown at all of those who aided and abetted. But guys, I want to thank you all for watching this video as always, and if you appreciated my commentary, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel, hopefully I've earned a subscription. Here's some more videos for you to watch in the meantime. Until next time, peace out.